Hi, today we're going to be doing a video on the Radial Arm Saw. Radial Arm Saw is a saw that we use all the time building sets at the theater. It is a saw that we use to cut long things short, which we call a cross-cut saw. It's a really good saw to cut things that are square. We've got another saw that we use to do angled cuts. The Radial Arm Saw is a circular blade that's spinning downward. So it is always important to make sure that the material is up against the fence when you're cutting, because otherwise it will want to pull into it. It also acts as a wheel, so as you're pulling out the saw, it will want to grab. So you want to make sure that you have a lot of strength in your arm as you're doing it, and if it has a knot or something in particular, you want to make sure that you're more aware of it as well. You'll turn on the saw up here, make sure that your hand is over here on the material and up against the fence, and then you'll slowly pull the saw out until it cuts all the way through, and then you'll let it go back in. The saw is also equipped with a fence that has a stop on it. The stop has a little red line right here. Lines up with the tape measure that we can calibrate, so that when you put your piece of material down, you line it up against the stop. Pushing it gently into the stop, and then you can go ahead and do your cut. As long as it's calibrated together correctly, your cuts will be accurate. You just want to make sure that if you're doing repeated cuts, that you're being gentle about pushing it into the stop, because sometimes it can start to creep on you. So double check it every once in a while. So I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate a cut. The saw is great for doing repetitive cuts. If you've got a really long cut list that you are working on, you can do a lot of cuts. You don't need to turn the saw on and off between your cuts, as long as you're careful of where the blade is and that it's fully retracted so that you can do all your cuts. You always want to remember to do your cuts from your largest to your smallest. That applies to all tools pretty much, so that you're using the material as efficiently as possible. It's also possible to use the saw not to cut all the way through if you wanted to do small notches into it. There's a handle here that raises the saw up, and so that you can do dado cuts or little notches if you didn't want to go all the way through your material. A few things to remember about the saw that's a little bit unique is that it is set up as a left-handed saw, that you need to grab it with your left hand, hold your material and pull it out because of the way that the stop is set up on the saw. The other things that you want to know about the saw too is that the blade does spin for a while, so if you have any material that is close to the blade, do not reach for it with your hand. You can use your cut-off piece, for example, and just move it out of the way so that your hand's not there. And you also want to make sure, again, that when you're pulling it out, that you're slowing it down so that the teeth can actually do the work and cut through your material. You want to make sure that you keep your hands away from this area in general, and you really never want to cut material that is going to be very small, because anytime you have a stop here, you want to make sure that the material can't get caught up and pulled back into the saw. And that's it for the Radial Arm Saw.